New Year's Eve, the day we all reflect on the past year before bidding it farewell for good. 2016 was a very emotional year for many people for many different reasons. A lot has happened this year with both world events and personal events for me. As for world events, well, let's not talk about that. But as for my personal events, 2016 was a great year. I started becoming a lot more invested in my YouTube channel and was able to talk to so many cool people. The games I played this year are also very good. I didn't play a whole lot of games this year, but many of the ones that I did play were fantastic. A few of these games even helped my channel grow, so I decided that it would be a good idea to list my favorite games that I played this year. I was originally going to do a top 10, but then I looked at the script I had already wrote for my top 5, and I thought, yeah, I don't want to do this much editing. I also don't feel too strongly towards some of the games that were going to be in places 10 through 6. So instead, I will be listing those games as honorable mentions. Before we start, I need to list 2 rules. 1. This is my opinion. I know everyone who makes a video like this says that, but please be considerate if you disagree. Personal preference and bias will have influenced the placement of these games. In other words, expect a lot of RPGs. And a lot of games are on this list because they were fairly new experiences to me. And 2, I will only be including games that I played for the first time during 2016. But games that came out before 2016 are fair game. However, I played those games for the first time this year, which is why they are on this list. Without further ado, let's get started. Like I said, we're going to start with honorable mentions, so let's rush through those so we can get to the meat of the video. Plague of Shadows. It was a blast playing as Plague Knight, but it's still technically a part of Shovel Knight, so I can't say with perfect conscience that it belongs on this list. Bayonetta 2. Lots of fun and great gameplay, but I don't think I've played enough of it to properly discuss the game in a video like this. Kirby Planet Robobot. I bought this game solely because my friend Sam Bammers told me that there was a copy ability based off of NES. I didn't care if it was a good game at that point, but it turns out it was. Lots of fun, but other than the robots, it wasn't anything new for the Kirby series. Pokemon Go. While the game lasted, it was amazing. For the first time in my life, Pokemon was mainstream and I could publicly be proud of being a Pokemon fan. Everyone was playing it, even my family. My mom played it, my dad played it, and even my grandpa played it. But the hype for the game has died down a lot since the first month it came out, and I can't really say I appreciate how Niantic has been handling the game. Finally, Bravely Second. This was the hardest game for me to exclude from the list. Bravely Default is one of my favorite RPGs ever, and while Bravely Second doesn't quite reach that level, it's still a super solid game with its fantastic story and new mechanics. Okay, we're done with honorable mentions. Let's get into the real list. I have a confession to make. Until this year, I have never owned a first-person shooter. My only experience with FPSs prior to this year was playing Halo at my friend's house and killing myself with my own grenade. Since then, I haven't been too confident in my abilities to play FPSs, and I'm not a good shot firing guns in real life either. And as an outsider to the FPS fanbase, I saw all of the characters and guns as mostly the same without much variety. But then I looked up Team Fortress 2 and learned just how diverse an FPS's options can be. I enjoy learning about the different classes and trying new strategies. TF2 was plenty of fun, and after learning the basics, I was ready to sink my teeth into it. Then I bought Overwatch, and I haven't played TF2 since. In case it wasn't obvious enough, number 5 is Overwatch. I'm sure just about all of you watching have heard of Overwatch. It did win Game of the Year after all. And there's a good reason for that. I had never owned a Blizzard game before, nor a first-person shooter besides TF2, and that game was free. So as you could imagine, I was pretty reluctant to buy this game. $40 for a game I probably wouldn't like? But my friends constantly told me to give it a try, so I eventually caved in and bought it. And I love it! The lore is fascinating, the graphics are good, and the gameplay is well designed. But hands down, the best part about Overwatch is its characters. They all play so differently, and almost everyone who plays can find at least one character that works for them. You into sniping? Play Hanzo or Widowmaker. Do you enjoy focusing on helping your teammates? Play Lucio or Mercy. Already used to standard FPS games like Call of Duty? Soldier 76 is your guy. Are you super bad at every first-person shooter ever and you just want to be a super simplistic and really overpowered character that requires very little skill to play effectively? Just use D.Va. Did I mention that I'm a D.Va main? Overwatch's cast of characters is diverse in every sense of the word. The heroes come from a wide range of cultures and have varied personalities. I'm not one to say that designers have to put all different types of people in their creations, but I will certainly commend them for doing so. Overwatch is fun and addictive with its wide range of character choices, and I'm sure that I will have many more fun experiences to come from the game. Yeah. Fire Emblem Awakening is currently in my top 5 favorite video games of all time. And while Fates doesn't quite reach that level of brilliance in my opinion, it still is a phenomenal experience. Probably the biggest thing that Fates has going for it is its large amount of content. No, it's more than large. It's giant with its 2 versions. Wait, there's a third? It's more than that. It's
humongous.
Although Conquest, Birthright, and Revelation are technically different games, they are all linked and Conquest and Birthright were released at the same time. Also, you have to own Conquest or Birthright to even play Revelation. So, there. I'll be including all 3 versions in one bunch for the sake of this list. I've played all of them and my god are they amazing! The gameplay is what you'd expect from a Fire Emblem game. Move your dudes, attack your foes, strategize, and hope you don't get destroyed by a random critical hit. But there are many additional layers of depth. The support system was carried over from Awakening, allowing your characters to have conversations and form bonds with each other that give boosts in battle when they're next to each other. And some characters can even get married and have children. New to Fates is the A+ support rank that allows your characters to become best friends forever with others of their gender and give each other great boosts in combat. They can't have any children, but they will have access to each other's class options, furthering the diversity a single unit can have. My favorite new feature is the capture mechanic. Conquest and Birthright each have one character capable of kidnapping your foes after you've built a prison in your castle. After you've captured them, you can try to bribe or persuade them to join your army. After they're convinced, they will join you and you can do with them as you please. You can even capture bosses as long as they're not relevant to the story. Captured units don't have a signature skill or personality, and none of them can form bonds with your units. However, there's something just so fascinating about using a former member of your enemy's army in combat. I even grew attached to some of my captured units more so than some of my regular units. There are many other things I could talk about, such as the story, new classes and weapons, as well as dragon veins. But telling you about it would just make it less interesting if you decide to pick up and play the game yourself. Like I said earlier, all of the games on this list are unique compared to other games of its kind, so I'll leave you to discover the surprises yourself. Pretty much anyone who's looked at my channel knows that I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Just look at my username. And because of that, I was obviously super hyped for Pokemon Sun and Moon. I was worried that I might have been getting a little too excited, but luckily my hype was not misplaced. Now I played the Moon version, so I'll just be addressing the game as Pokemon Moon, but both games are pretty much the same thing. Probably the best thing about Pokemon Moon compared to the other main series games is just how different this game is from the rest. Pokemon's core mechanics are great and all, but let's be honest, there were some things that needed changing. Although I don't necessarily think that there is anything wrong with the gym system that they had before Generation 7, spicing things up by replacing it with the trials was a great change of pace. The addition of totem battles was really cool because it provided bosses that weren't just other trainers, which is something I've always wanted. And thank God, or Arceus, that they got rid of all of the HMs. For 20 years, these stupid moves have plagued your team with no easy way to remove them from your Pokemon. Everyone had been begging Game Freak to remove them, finally did, and left the glorious Ride Pager in its place. I could go on about why the Ride Pager is one of, if not the best additions to a Pokemon game, but I think I'll save that for another potential video. As for gameplay, the basics all stay the same. It's turn-based, you've got 4 basic moves, and there aren't any new types nor type changes to worry about in this gen. However, there are quite a few changes. Many Pokemon had their abilities and base stats change, buffing some while nerfing others. For example, Gengar no longer has the Levitate ability, making him a little bit less of a threat, while Pelipper and Torkoal gained the abilities Drizzle and Drought respectively, giving them a chance to shine on weather-based teams. But the biggest gameplay change that I'm sure you've all heard of by now is Z-moves. In short, Z-moves are super powerful moves only usable once per battle that require your Pokemon to hold a Z-crystal in order to perform said move. I said that your Pokemon could have 4 basic moves because this essentially allows your Pokemon to have more than 4 moves as it doesn't take up a move slot. It seems to be the thing that's trying to replace Mega Evolution, which I'm perfectly okay with because many Megas were super unbalanced. You essentially had to have a Mega Pokemon in order for your team to succeed in competitive. And now Mega Stones are banned in official tournaments, so I hope fan-made Pokemon websites such as Pokemon Showdown will ban them, or at least create a separate metagame that excludes them. As for the Z moves themselves, they look pretty cool and are great in theory, but since they're one-time use, I think that I'll prefer just a standard item most of the time. Speaking of looking good, feast your eyes on those graphics. I know graphics aren't everything, but man do they help Sun and Moon shine. When Sun and Moon were first announced, we didn't see what the games looked like. I assumed the visuals wouldn't be too many steps up from X and Y's. After all, they are on the same system. But I was pleasantly surprised that there was a serious graphical overhaul with these new games. Comparing the two games' appearances side by side, it's funny looking back on how blown away I was by X and Y's graphics. However, I think they pushed the system a little too hard as there were noticeable frame drops in double battles. I know graphics aren't everything, but they were worth mentioning. The music is super good too. I want to talk more about it, but the soundtrack is so diverse that it's nearly impossible to describe all of it at once. So I won't bother trying, and I'll just recommend that you give it a listen if you haven't yet. Finally, we have the story and characters. The story is very good, definitely one of the better ones in the Pokemon franchise. It doesn't quite reach the story level of Black and White or the Mystery Dungeon games, but it's still very well done with its colorful cast of characters. Team Skull is hands down my favorite villain team so far. Yes, even over Team Flare, despite the fact that it's sort of my team. Usually in Pokemon, the grunts don't get much personality or character. All of that usually goes to their leaders. But in Sun and Moon, the grunts are endlessly entertaining. They don't exactly have depth, but their dialogue is just fantastic. I also love the fact that most NPCs don't take the Team Skull grunts seriously at all. But don't worry, Game Freak didn't slack on the team's leaders just to focus on the grunts. Plumeria could have been better, but Guzma picks up her slack. He's unique, challenging, and just as entertaining as the rest of his team. And more importantly, he spawned countless memes. Glorious, glorious Guzma memes. It's ya boy! There are other characters I like a lot besides Team Skull, such as Gladion, Professor Kukui, and Lusamine. However, explaining why I like them so much would require spoiling the game's story, so I won't do that here. I've gone on and on about how great Pokemon Moon is, but really, it along with its Sun counterpart can be summed up in 4 words. What the series needed. It's a breath of fresh air and really helps keep the series entertaining for the longtime fans while still being accessible to newcomers. There's a lot more I could have said, but this part of the script is already over a page long, so I'll just keep it at that. There's a certain game out there that my friends have begged me over and over again to try. I'd heard so much about how unique and special it was. Because of this, I chose this game to kickstart my career on Twitch. Because of this game, I gained many followers that ended up becoming friends in a way. And that game, of course, was Undertale. To explain Undertale to you? Probably not, since the internet crammed it down all of our throats. Instead of telling you something you already know, I'll just tell you my personal thoughts. I had relatively high hopes for Undertale, and my expectations were exceeded. I love the idea of the killing versus sparing mechanic. The option of being able to befriend your foes and later on get help from some of them is very appealing to me. Remember how I said I like the capture mechanic from Fire Emblem Fates? Yeah, it's like that. The characters are very original and diverse. But above all else, Undertale probably has one of the best video game OSTs of all time. And for the record, my favorite song is Hopes and Dreams, the one you're listening to right now. The only thing that dampened my experience with this game was a decision that I made and now regret. I decided to complete the Genocide run. And while I have serious bragging rights because I defeated the final boss... Whoa! Yes! Oh my god! Left me unhappy with what I had done and filled me with remorse, instead of determination. But thinking back on it, that just shows how good of a game Undertale is. It was able to get me so attached to these collections of pixels that I couldn't help but feel dreadful when I slaughtered all of them. Undertale was a fantastic ride. It had a couple downs, but it had many, many ups. This game was overall a magical experience that I'm glad I participated in. Yes, even the soul-crushing Genocide run. I guess. I'd say more, but Undertale really is a game that you need to go into blind to play, and I don't want to ruin this game for the few people who haven't tried it yet. At the end of the day, Undertale is an unforgettable experience for me that I will look back fondly on, but there's just one game that pulled at my heartstrings more this year. If you've paid attention to my channel in the last 5 months or so, you're probably not too surprised to find Mother 3 at number 1. Also, for those wondering, yes, I have in fact completed the game, I just have to finish uploading the Let's Play. Like Undertale, Mother 3 helped me get my name out there because I streamed my first ever playthrough of it on Twitch. A lot of my viewers are Mother fans, so you probably already know quite a bit about the game and its history, but I'll briefly explain for those who don't know. Mother 3 is the elusive sequel to Earthbound that was released exclusively in Japan in April of 2006. Yep, a decade-old game made it onto the list. Upon realizing that this game would likely never be officially localized by Nintendo, the super dedicated Mother fanbase vowed to create an English translation for the game. In 2008, the patch was released for everyone with the ROM of the game. From then on, Mother 3 became a legend among Nintendo fans and is hailed as one of the best stories ever told in a video game. Mother 3 has become an inspiration for many, and it, along with Earthbound, went on to inspire the previously mentioned game Undertale. Also, it's the game with that one blonde kid from Smash Bros. What kind of game is Mother 3? It's an emotional one. Like Undertale, this game knows how to make you feel things in so many unique ways. You'll grow attachment to the characters and their world. The beautiful music amplifies the emotions. But what sets Mother 3 apart from Undertale? For me personally, it's a lot easier to fall in love with this game's world. I grew super attached to every last pixel in the game. The story is incredible and the game has aged very well. I'd say more, but I'd rather not spoil anything. I have a Let's Play up on this channel if you'd like to check it out. I'm working on it, guys. I'll finish it eventually. But honestly, I'd recommend that you play the game yourself if you haven't. It's an incredible experience that I would recommend to anyone. Out of all of the games I have ever played in my life, Mother 3 places third. Go figure. I just can't give enough praise for this game. If you haven't played any other Mother games, you don't need to shy away from this one. It may seem difficult to be able to play this game since it was never officially localized in America, but really, it's not that hard and it's completely free. Just get an emulator, the ROM, and the patch. You'll be glad you did. I sure am. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I know this video wasn't quite as high quality or edited as other videos by other people, but I'm just a kid trying to make YouTube videos and have some fun. And this was pretty last minute, and the video ended up being a lot longer than I thought it would. I just kept writing the script, and they looked at it and like, holy moly, that's a lot. I hope the video won't be too long. And it was too long. Well, maybe not too long, but longer than I thought it would be. Also, I mentioned Fire Emblem Fates in the video. I actually have a Fire Emblem Fates video series on my friend's channel. My friend Roy's boss, he's crazy into Fire Emblem. His username is based off of a Fire Emblem character, Roy, and we do a series on his channel called Fates Debate in which we try to convince our friend Jack to join our side. If you're into Fire Emblem, I recommend checking it out. Maybe it's a bit cringy, but whatever, we have fun making it. Hopefully you'll have fun watching it. And speaking of Jack, I have done some Overwatch things with him on his channel. You can go ahead and click the playlist on the screen to check out the Overwatch videos that we have done. And finally, the last playlist I'll talk about is that one dead in the center. It's on my channel. It is my Mother 3 Let's Play. Now, like I said in the video, I wouldn't recommend watching the Let's Play if you haven't played the game yourself yet, but if you want to see my reactions to various things, go ahead and check it out. I will be attempting to finish the Let's Play probably sometime in January, but who knows what'll happen. I can never stick to a schedule. So I want to thank you all once again for watching. I'm gonna split, and I hope to see you guys in the next year. Have a great 2017, everyone.